These are Corydoras stirbai catfish, and they're just one of the over 170 species of Corydoras catfish found in the Amazon region of South America. These peaceful bottom-dwelling fish have the barbels that we typically associate with catfish. These barbels are covered in taste buds that help the cories find their food as they probe the bottom of the river in search of aquatic insects, fish eggs, worms, and crustaceans. In captivity, Corydoras catfish will readily take most prepared foods. Sinking pellets and algae wafers work well, but flake foods are not an ideal choice because they float, and much of it will be eaten by the other fish before it hits the bottom of the tank. So it's best to keep a close watch on the fish and make sure that the cories are getting enough food. Unfortunately, Corydoras are often treated as cleaner fish, who were purchased so that they would go around the tank and eat the leftover food that's landed on the bottom. But this approach often leads to cories that are thin and will fail to thrive because they're expected to survive on leftovers. This spotted ramshorn snail, on the other hand, will have no trouble at all surviving and even thriving on what these catfish leave behind. Frozen bloodworms like the ones you see here are a nice treat for your cories, but be careful when handling bloodworms because they can cause serious allergic reactions in some people. So it's best to touch them as little as possible and wash your hands when you're done feeding. The mouth of a Corydoras catfish isn't built for biting and chewing. It's made for sifting through the sand in search of whatever small bits of food that it can find. These small bits of food are then swallowed where they're processed by special teeth in the throat known as pharyngeal teeth. The pharyngeal teeth grind up the bits of food before they're sent further on down the digestive tract. But these bloodworms are a bit of a challenge for these cories to eat. First of all, they're not worms but insects, so they have a hardened exoskeleton which makes it difficult for the cories to break them apart and swallow them. Now, if you watch your cories closely when they're eating frozen bloodworms, you may be able to see them appear to eat the bloodworm, but then they later eject the worm out through the gill cover before moving on to the next worm. Now, I'm not saying that they don't enjoy their bloodworms and that they're not good for them, but they are difficult for them to break up and swallow, so they're probably difficult to digest as well. And, like anything else, it's best to feed these in moderation. I've seen this happen quite often with live blackworms who just wriggle their way out through the gill cover all on their own. But these frozen bloodworms are being rejected over and over because they're too tough to deal with. And it takes several trips through the cory cat's mouth and then past the pharyngeal teeth before it's been tenderized enough to be swallowed whole. Okay, I've stopped the video to bring your attention to something interesting. Now, when the video starts again, be sure to look at the level of control that this cory has over this old mangled worm, as it decides whether to swallow it or not. I'm not sure how it's controlling this bloodworm. Is it using water pressure or its pharyngeal teeth to move the worm in and out of its gill opening? My guess is that it's probably a little bit of both, but let's have a look at that one more time. Just look how far that worm gets pushed out before it's pulled right back in and then swallowed. Yummy! As you can see, these cories spend a great deal of time processing these worms before actually swallowing them. So it takes these Corydoras a long time to eat an entire cube of frozen bloodworms. So that's what I've seen, and now you've seen it too. And there are many who will say that bloodworms can cause digestive problems due to their exoskeleton, while others will tell you that they've been using them for years with no troubles at all. I guess it really depends on what species of fish you're feeding, as well as how frequently you feed and how much you give them each time. Feeding a wide variety of foods often helps, and allowing your fish to go without food for a day or two can be beneficial as well. Alright, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and have a beautiful day.